I now give the floor to Her Excellency Mariana Betsa, Deputy Minister for Foreign Affairs of Ukraine, to introduce draft resolution A/ES 11/L16/revision 1.
Thank you, Madam President. Your Excellencies, distinguished delegates, it's a great honor for me to present here today on behalf of Ukraine the draft UNGA resolution on the return of Ukrainian children. This resolution is not about politics. This resolution is about humanity. This resolution is about upholding the UN Charter. This resolution is about our moral imperative to return each and every Ukrainian child back home. There can be no doubt every child deserves a home where he feels loved, supported, and taken care of. This is a universal truth for all the countries, for all the regions, for all the children. With the war of aggression unleashed by Russia against Ukraine, our children became immediate and the most vulnerable target of the Russian aggression. Our children have been killed, our children have been injured, our children have been tortured, raped, our children have been abducted and deported by Russia in grave breach of international law. And I'm standing here at this rostrum today to call for action. Action to bring Ukrainians' children back home. Not conditionally, not partially, not some way day later, but now. A child belongs with a family, with safety, with love, not in camps, institutions, or faraway places where he is kept under the control of those who abducted them, not under false names, false flags, or aggressive propaganda. It is unimaginable what Ukrainian children are passing through every single day since 2014, when Russia waged its unprovoked aggression against Ukraine. It is also unimaginable that someone could perceive children as war trophies, and yet this is precisely how the aggressor treats Ukrainian children, as future cannon fodder for new aggressive wars, as political instruments to promote aggressive narratives. These cynical plans are disguised as so-called rescue operations. Indeed, Russia dares to claim that it rescues our children from their parents, from their homes, from their schools, at the same time killing their parents and burying them under the rubble of residential buildings destroyed by the missile and drone attacks. Our draft is to remind children are not trophies. They are boys and girls with the right to grow up in a family environment, in an atmosphere of happiness, love, and understanding. A right violently destroyed by Russian missile and drones. There are thousands of stories of pain, crime, tears, but also of courage. Let me share with you just one story among thousands. A Ukrainian girl, Veronika, now 16, at the age of 13, unexpectedly found herself in Russia, where she was forced to spend 14 months separated from her mother. She was bullied in a so-called children's rehabilitation center, and at school, police interrogations pressured her to confirm false testimony. She underwent forced gynecological and psychiatric examination. Several times, Veronika tried to escape and return to Ukraine, but her attempts were blocked. After being held in isolation, she finally managed to reach Ukraine, and now she studies in Kiev in the 11th grade. And these are not separate tragedies. As of today, Russia has deported at least 20,000 Ukrainian children. We managed to return more than 1,850 Ukrainian children. But many are still missing, many still are there, waiting in fear, hoping to be found, counting days when they will be rescued. Meanwhile, Russian officials officially declare that there are at least 7,400 Ukrainian children in Russia since the beginning of full-scale invasion. They claim these deportations were humanitarian, although the only humanitarian act Russia is able to perform is a humanitarian disaster. And only Russia knows the real number of the abducted and deported children. I would like to recall that on 17th March 2023, the International Criminal Court issued arrest warrants for Maria Lvova-Belova and Vladimir Putin for the war crimes of unlawful deportation and transfer of Ukrainian children. Ukraine continues to demand international justice and full accountability for all these crimes and for all acts committed against children. International law leaves no space for doubt. Under the Fourth Geneva Convention and the Convention on the Rights of the Child, the occupying power bears full responsibility for facilitating return and seizing unlawful transfers. Madam President, I would like to emphasize that the Russian Federation is the only state in the modern history that abducts children from a sovereign state en masse. This is the largest state abduction operation in history. And Russia's policy towards Ukrainian children is a deliberate strategy. In Russian-occupied temporary territories and across Russia, Ukrainian children face systematic attempts to indoctrinate them by erasing their identity and replace them with a hostile narrative. Ukrainian language, literature, and history have been removed from classrooms and replaced with Russian curriculum that glorify the invasion and the Russian army. Ukrainian books are burned, banned, teachers are cursed and dismissed, parents face interrogation, intimidation, and even the threats of losing custody of their own children. These children are being taught that their motherland is not the enemy, that this is a Nazi state. Russia labels an entire Ukrainian nation as Nazis, and children are forced to absorb and repeat this lie. In schools, camps, and temporary facilities, Ukrainian children are taught to hate Ukraine, to hate their own countries. The goal is not just to re-educate them, but, as Russians have publicly declared on numerous occasions, to make them Russians again, in inverted commas. Militarization is central to the process. Children are placed into so-called youth armies, drilled with propaganda and instructed to third-blade the same military machine that destroyed their homes and killed their parents. Beyond occupied classrooms, the machinery of abduction expands further. Thousands of Ukrainian children have been taken deep into Russia, into foster systems and so-called adoptive families, often with their names and documents changed, so they may never be traced. At least 210 known facilities hold Ukrainian children, including monasteries, military boarding schools, and orphanages. Investigations confirm a state-run chain of abduction, re-education, and militarization. So this is not rescue, this is genocide. To mobilize strong international support and ensure a resolute response from the international community, Ukraine, together with Canada and the European Union, introduces the draft resolution, the return of Ukrainian children. This text stands firm on UN Charter, international law, and on the universal truth that the best interests of child are paramount. It condemns forced transfers, illegal adoptions, erased identities. It demands immediate, safe, and unconditional return. It urges accountability for all responsible. It tasks the UN system to assist in locating, verifying, and ensuring access to every missing child. And of course, it welcomes the tireless efforts of those member states and international organizations who help us bring our children home. Your Excellencies, this resolution is about humanity. Not a single child should be separated from a family. Not a single child should endure what Ukrainian children are being endured for the entire 12 years into the war. Many children wait to be rescued, suffering, hidden, silenced. Their voices cannot reach this hall. However, there is still hope, because they believe that our voices are strong enough. Let this guide us during the vote on the draft resolution, the return of Ukrainian children. I urge every member state, let this assembly speak for them. Let this assembly demand their unconditional return. Let this assembly act. Our children are non-negotiable. Ukraine's sovereignty and territorial integrity are not negotiable. The UN Charter and justice are not negotiable. Ukraine calls on the UN General Assembly to help our children and to advance peace, the peace process, because there will be no just peace in Ukraine without the immediate unconditional return of our children back home. My delegation also moves that the debate on agenda item 5 be suspended at 4 p.m. today in order for the Assembly to proceed to the consideration of the draft resolution A/ES 11/L.16 revision 1 on the understanding that the debate would continue immediately after action on the draft resolution and that the 11th emergency session would only be temporarily adjourned after the conclusion of the debate. Thank you.
I thank the Deputy Minister for Foreign Affairs of Ukraine.